Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday edition of Andy the Gabby Cabby, live from the garage. Hope everyone is doing okay and your bank holiday weekends are going smoothly. I'm not working tomorrow, so poured myself a little something in my Andy the Gabby Cabby pint glass. And I hope everyone else has got a brew on as well while we go through the show this evening. Just a quick run through some of the names. Blue Angel, Chris Card, Gary Thornbury, WTF, Blood Nose working the moderation in the background as always. Thank you, Blood. Minge Pump, Pete. Yeah, you're all there. Julie Baldwin, Everdream Tim, hello to you. Lord Jim Dandy as ever. You're all in the house. It's great to see you. Erica, there's a couple of names here I don't recognise actually. Stuart, hi Rafi, good to see you. The Games Emporium, Anne Marie, and all the regulars too. So wonderful. Thank you everybody ever so much. Well, the channel has gone a bit mad over the last few days. My subscribers have shot through the roof. We're up to nearly 83,000, I think, now, and it's absolutely wonderful. I know why that's happened, a particular subject I covered over the last couple of days. And also, I noticed that my X account, formerly known as Twitter, has grown by, I think, 1,200 followers in a day. Again, complete and utter madness, but I do know the reason why. Now, I did a video yesterday and the day before, which had Andrew Bridgen in the title. And it was all revolving around an interview that he did with Dr. Malik or Doc Malik, however he's, known as. This is the thumbnail for that video. I used the same one twice. My boat race on there, Andrew Bridgen, and he knows. He knows something everybody else doesn't. One of the things that he came out and said was, we are already at war. We've just not been told about it yet. He, of course, refers to what's going on with Russia and Ukraine and what he actually said was he had a conversation with the Russian ambassador who said that, we know what you're doing. And if you don't pack it up, there's going to be consequences. That's the strength of what happened. And that's why he, made his comments. You can see a link to the full video on my X account. And Paz did a pretty decent video as well, talking about that situation. Saw his vid on your X account. Very informative. There you go. It's there. There's a lot of information on my X account when I can dig it out. It's well worth going and having a look. You never know what you never knew unless you go and have a look. Well, Bev Turner put an interesting poll up on her thing. The Ukraine war has been going. In fact, I'll pull it up on my phone because some of the text is actually written out of it where I did the screen dump. But you can read that. The Ukraine versus Russia war has been going on for 10 years. The West got involved overtly rather than covertly, February the 22nd. There is no clear endpoint, no strategy, no apparent desire for negotiation from anyone other than Russia, who has offered a compromise. All MSN narrative now pointing to imminent conflict. So if Putin feels sufficiently provoked and points those missiles at us, and Boris Johnson specifically, well, let's not forget that he's scuppered any peace talks. Would the current PM want to be in charge and thus more likely to win an election, or would he rather be out of number 10, safely tucked up in a California bunker? Now, the current number of votes on that post now are 1,108. You could see here it was 910 when I grabbed the screen dump, and 80% reckon that we're going to have trouble after the election. That ties in with what Bridgen says. We've not been told yet, and you can see the thing there. It's quite a large in favour. So people are really starting to wake up to all this. They're starting to realise that, yes, we may have a few problems. And then, of course, what do we see in the press after that? And I'll show you. And I know many a YouTuber has spoken about this already. Forgive me for, getting a BBC website, but it was easy to get hold of. What is the Tory National Service Plan and how might it work? So I've even had an email about this. He's talking about bringing back national service for, 18-year-olds. So what is it? What does it mean? Well, it's a period of national service, over the course of, I think, a year. But what does it actually mean? We've got it here. Community volunteering, spending one weekend every month, which equates to 25 days over a 12-month period, volunteering with organisations such as the NHS, fire service, ambulance, search and rescue, and critical local infrastructure. This one, military training, applying for one of up to 30,000 selective military placements reserved for teenagers deemed the brightest and the best in areas like logistics, cybersecurity, procurement, or civil response operations. What do they mean, civil response operations? Over a year-long period. The vast majority of 18-year-olds would not take part in any military training at all. Now, they're saying that it's going to be mandatory, but at the same time, they're saying that it would not be a criminal act if you refused. So, if it's mandatory, why are they doing this? Now, it really does smell to me like something's in the pipeline, and are they trying to shove this in by the back door somehow and upgrade it all? And that and the government preparation website as well. It all paints a horrible picture in my mind. I don't know about you. I had a conversation with a friend of mine earlier today who thinks that Bridgen is a crackpot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. How in the name of hell would he have a conversation with a, high-ranking ambassador and various other things like that? So, as I said to him at the time, we'll just have to see what comes out of this in due course, won't we? That's all we can do. Well, national service in the past, I think, had its place, and I think it was a good idea at the time. But with the way kids are today, and believe me, I know I've got two kids myself, both boys, one of which is about 6'5", built like a brick outhouse, and 20 years old. And Jack, he's 10. I don't think our current crop of kids would respond to this, really. And I don't think they go along with it. I mean, you can see here, in June 1945, the process began of demobilising thousands of men and women who'd served in the forces during the war. Government began preparations to this in 1944 with a Reinstatement in Civil Employment Act, which meant they could get their own old jobs back if they lived long enough. There was still an urgent need to keep up high levels of military manpower in parts of the world. The government concluded that these requirements could only be met effectively by continuing national service in peacetime. This was not, however, popular, especially now that Britain was no longer at war. It was therefore with difficulty that Clement Attlee's Labour government persuaded Parliament in 1947 to pass the National Service Act. It came into force in January 49 and meant that all physically fit males between the ages of 17 and 21 had to serve in one of the armed forces for an 18-month period. They then remained on the reserve list for another 4 years. During the time, they were liable to be called to serve with their units, but on no more than 3 occasions for 20 days maximum. Students and apprentices were allowed to defer their call-up until they completed their studies of training. Conscientious objectors had to undergo the same tribunal tests as in wartime. After 1945, however, national service did not extend to women. In 1950, a further National Service Act lengthened the period of service to 2 years. During the 1950s, national servicemen took part in various military operations in Malaya, Korea, Cyprus, and Kenya. National service ended in 1960, though periods of deferred service still had to be completed, the last national serviceman being discharged in 1963. So there you go. There's a little bit of a, what's the word? History of it. And it had its place. Anyone remember Bad Lads Army? That program from way back when, where they brought in a load of people. It was more or less like Borstal, really. And they straightened them out. But again, kids today, kids of this day and age, I can't see it. I can't see it, really. Right, speaking of military, we had a little bit of a tragedy. Well, it was a massive tragedy, actually. There was a Spitfire that crashed into a field. And, tragically, the pilot lost his life. And I found this here earlier. John Nichol, who was, one of the two Johns who was shot down during Gulf War One when they ejected out of their Tornado, put this up. Truly sad news. Royal Air Force confirms pilot squadron leader Mark Long died in yesterday's Battle of Britain Memorial Flight Spitfire accident. Mark was an expert aviator and due to take command of BMF later this year. A tragic loss for his family, friends, and the wider aviation community. RIP, blue skies. It's always tragic when that happens, and the pilot, stories I've read in the past try and divert the aircraft away from civilians, people that are going to get hurt, and they worry about that before they worry about their own skin. So, it's horrible, 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 horrible. This is the chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby, everybody. If you are just here for the first time and you're in the house, hit the like button. It helps the algorithm push us around. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And again, that helps the algorithm push me around. Leave your comments and share everything on social media. I appreciate it very much. EJ, thanks for this live, Andy. You're very welcome. Very welcome. I enjoy doing them. One of the big things about YouTube channels is viewer interaction. Hi, Mum. Good to see you. I like doing these lives because I get to talk to you, and I like going through and doing the comments and everything as well. Factual breakdown. Let's get the likes to 100, folks. We've got 150 over watching, 177 by now. So that's pretty good. I want to just divert back to household things at the moment. Energy bills. Who has a problem with their energy bills? Give me a 1 if you do, or a 2 if you don't. Could be any problem, payments or anything. A few problems. Joke of the week sent, Andy. Okay, I'll try and get that up, Lord Jim Dandy. Standing charges, yes. I remember, Ryan. Hello, by the way. You did send me something a while ago, didn't you? To do with standing charges, which we need to try and look into, because what you showed me was unbelievable. Well, apparently, they're going to go up again. So it's all to do with green levies and the way they're being moved. So let's have a look at this one. You can see the headline there. Gas bills could rise by £1,000 for millions in UK under new proposals. It's always new proposals that do this, isn't it? And you wonder what's going on. Now, how in the name of hell are we going to pay this if they go up? But, this is an example here of what, the situation we've got. Household gas bills could rise by a staggering £1,000 if proposals to transfer green levies go ahead. The Energy Secretary, Claire Coutinho, received a proposal to move some or all of the green levies from household electricity bills to gas bills, or incorporate them into a general taxation. Officials at the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero, that's a bloody misnomer in itself, isn't it? Propose the changes due to concerns that the burden of green levies on household costs is hindering progress towards net zero. Oh, I hate that word. I hate that word. About everybody else does. Green levies are charged, added to energy bills to fund environmental and social initiatives which help support the transition to cleaner energy sources and reduce carbon emissions. These can include subsidies for renewable energy projects, energy efficiency programs, and assistance for vulnerable customers, but they also increase the cost of household energy bills. This is it. All this green stuff is just making it difficult for people at the moment, particularly on low income, to keep warm. An analysis by gas distribution company Cadent, found energy bills would increase by £1,045 a year for millions of families reliant on gas by 2035 if green levies were transferred from electric to gas. Low-income families, which account for almost half of energy bills for households reliant on gas, could be hit hardest by the move. The report also found gas consumers would pay between £879 and £924 more annually in running costs than heat pump users. Shifting the levies to gas bills would spread the cost among fewer households. It's all designed just to get the damn costs up and make it all the more difficult for us. Hello, Alan Reader. Good to see you. Hope you are well, sir. Now, I've got another story for you with energy as well. I've mentioned it many times. I've got a friend who 30 years, we'll call it 30 years, we've been friends. And I always try and, watch out for him. I go and see him as much as I can. In fact, we went for a drink last night. Oh, my God, that was a heavy one, I tell you. But one of the things that he wanted me to do was to go down into his basement and check his electricity meter, because the display had gone blank, and he's got one of these pay-as-you-go meters. So it's a case of, I can't see what's on there. I can't see what's topping up. And what actually happened, he phoned British Gas, who he's with, and they said, oh, we'll come out and fix that for you. No problem. No problem at all. And when he looked into it, it wasn't a repair message coming out. They were coming out to swap it for a smart meter. So without his consent, they're going to come out and put a smart meter in, and effectively tricked him into it. And the reason he wanted me to go down the basement was to check that it was still, blank, that they hadn't pulled a fast one on him, because he was that paranoid about it. Paranormal Channel X, British Gas are sly. Yes, they very much are. And as we discussed, me and my friend yesterday, the government have set targets to get smart meters out into as many homes as possible, as quickly as possible. And these targets aren't getting met because of pushback from people. And, they're thinking, well, hang on a minute, we need to get these smart meters out. So they try and dirty tricks and all this sort of thing. I don't know. I mean, I've had it myself, where I get emails through saying your meter's expired or something like that. It's quite crafty, some of the tricks they come out with. Now, smart meters, some people are okay with them because of their circumstances. Other people aren't so much. It depends on your circumstances. Me, I don't want one of the damn things. I absolutely do not want one of them. And I can I can see a situation sooner or later where it's a case of it will be forced on everybody, or they will try and force it on anybody. Now, let's talk about the political for a moment, and then we'll go and look through some of your comments. I'm not sure whether the starred comments are working, because I'm not actually seeing any on my screen, so I might have to do it the old-fashioned way, but we'll cross that bridge in a minute. Question: general election, July the 4th. Who's going to vote? Give me a 1 in the chat if you are, or a 2 in the chat if you're not. It'd be interesting to see, the cross section. I'm just going to try and pull something up somewhere. While you're all deciding, I might not be able to find it. No, I can't find it. That's a shame, because it was a good video. Not sure. 2s, 1s. Okay, so there's a mixture. Okay. Well, we've got a bit of a problem here, haven't we, in this country, where we've had generations of the same, either the Reds or the Blues, and it's become very much apparent that they've merged into the same party now. They call it the Uni Party. The whole thing's a bloody pantomime, and we're no better off whichever one we choose. So to that end, a lot of people become disenfranchised, and I'm one of them. You think, well, what's the point? What's the point in any of this anymore? And this is how first past the post works in their favour, because what's happening is a large percentage of people are actually staying away, and MPs are getting returned on very small turnouts, and it's not right. It's not right, and it needs to change. We all need to come out, and we need to, put that vote. Hundreds of years ago, we didn't have like a government of Great Britain. We didn't have all this Europhile nonsense we've got now. We've had to put up with. We had a very small central government, and it was more community leaders running the place, rather than what we've got now. And in my view, that's the kind of system we need to go back to, where there's a little bit more trust, a little bit more accountability. And it's not going to happen all the while people think the way they are. The amount of comments I see where it's a case of if you vote Labour, the country's doomed. If you vote Conservatives, something, we've got to get out of that mindset. Now, we need a new way of doing things, or we need to just not consent to the whole thing anymore. Now, a lot of people are saying, we'll vote reform, we'll vote reform. Okay, if that's what you want to do. But then if you're not happy with reform, then you need to come out and do something else. Tell them you're not happy. And there's ways of doing that. And we need our voices heard, definitely. Well, I'm going to start running through the comments. Now, usually I can pull them up myself, and I'm not actually getting the same facility today that Bloodnose is getting. So we'll go through the comments, and Blood will put them up for me. National Service, Andy, RAF, question mark. Are you trying to be funny? Is that Royal Air Farce? I don't know. I'm too old anyway. Lisa Farr, they cleared out Russians from London a few years ago. Implied all sorts about their character. I remember that, Lisa. I remember that very much so. It was around the time there was all those potential spy shenanigans going on, wasn't it? Lord Jim Dandy, joke. Asked a sheep farmer how many girlfriends he had. He fell asleep counting. Yeah, very good. Peter, at last, discipline in the younger generation. The problem is the younger generation are not the generation I remember. It's it's a difficult one to explain. Yeah, you know, back in the day, you could get a caning from a teacher to discipline you. These days, the student would probably have a go back at the teacher. They're different animals. Declan, Rishi, don't want to be a wartime prime minister. Eyes awake, people. What's coming? That is what Andrew Bridgen said. And, you know, is it round the corner? And, you know, you look at the Prepare website that's gone up, all the pieces fit horrifically into place. And I hope, you know, people like me are wrong. Matt Wooten, Andy, I was told earlier that you can't run an election when we're at war. I don't know if that's true, but someone smarter in the chat might know if that's true. I think it is true because I've heard of these elections being suspended when there is a war. But the traffic really, I think, means after. So we'll have to see. Any more comments? Yes, Chris, Sunak is trying to lose. It's a baton handover, not separate runners trying to win. That was said, wasn't it, Chris? I mean, you look when he made the announcement, when he came out, he looked like a drowned rat, didn't he? And the other thing as well, I don't know who advised him on this, but he ended up doing a piece in front of, you know, the Titanic Museum in Belfast. And, you know, you think of the irony, the Titanic of all things. Really? BCTV, good to see you, Bridge. Hope you're well. This explains why Rishi was battering Sir Brian Longstaff to complete on the inquiry. Is that connected to his plans? His escape plans? Possibly. Possibly. Who knows? Who knows? Erica, in my view, a push to vote Labour. Starmer will enforce conscription. I think it's said that, you know, all of these things that are being intimated at by the current government will be seen through by the next one. So I have to see. Paranormal Channel X, July 4th. Yeah, why July 4th? I can't understand that. That's an American holiday, you know, Declaration of Independence. Matt, I agree. Bridgen is a numbnuts. He asked for a meeting with the head of the Met Police, with Matt Letitia as one of his experts. Oh, okay. That I didn't know. Bridget, my eldest grandson is 17. He's definitely my grandson because he said he's going to say he's my full-time carer, move in and get out of being called up. Well, apparently you can't, you know, you won't get charged with anything if you said no anyway. I mean, one of the most famous conscientious objectors I heard of was Muhammad Ali. He was called up for Vietnam and he said, no, I'm not going. And you look what they did to him. I do not want my son to do this for a country that doesn't give a damn about us whatsoever. Yeah, it's not a government I recognise anymore, and I don't think it's a country I recognise anymore either. June Slater is one to watch. Lord Jim, yeah, I've caught bits of her stuff definitely. Clive Buckle, 1 year national service will not be worth the money that it would cost. More money wasted on a complete waste of time. It would have to be at least 3 years to have any effect. Well, that's right. I mean, I remember back in the 60s. Well, I don't remember back in the 60s. I wasn't here. But my dad joined the army in the 60s. And he joined under, I think he was under the age of 16. So he did a term of what they call boys' service. And there was a period of training. You have to be trained to fire a weapon. You have to be trained to use a missile system. You have to learn how to march. You have to learn how to bull your boots. You have to learn all the different, you know, and all of that takes time. A year, by the time they were trained, it'd be time to come out. El Gore, I think it's a way to get all the illegal immigrants formed into an army, which they probably already are. Well, there's this talk, isn't there, El Gore, about all of the boats that are coming over, is that what they really are? And we're having the wall pulled over our eyes. They're here, they're just not in their uniforms yet. Watching always, Andy the Gabby Cabby. Don't you have to be 11 or older to start secondary school? Jack started going at 10. Is that the new age? No, he's not going to secondary school yet. He starts in September when he will be 11. We've been offered the place where we wanted him to go, so all the balls are in motion. He's actually in the last little bit of time in primary school, and quite a big transition for the kids. Declan, we will all remember 2024 in Ireland and the UK, but for what? Big changes coming to both, sadly. Yeah, I fear you're not wrong. I fear you're not wrong there. Joey E, standing charges are killing me. Yeah, that's the big part of the bill, isn't it? The big part of the bill. They could certainly do with doing it. Ryan Yard, I heard the cap is going down in July. Yes, I heard that as well. Right in the summertime, we're not going to use as much. I stopped using the gas now. Forget that, Joey. He says, you got people not using it or rationing it. It's madness. Peter Snowling, if I took standing charges off my bill, I'd only pay 150 a year. Says it, doesn't it? I mean, I have a thing where let's call it a respiratory condition, where I have to take certain measures when I sleep. And because of that, I need electricity all the time. It has to be on. So I get myself on the priority services register. And then, it ensures a response. It ensures it's always on. That's the thing. Philip, they keep opening and closing my account, then send me bills for accounts that don't exist. I did a video on that as well. There was another lady that messaged me in about that and said they did the same to her. She got some weird letter through the post, and then when she went to check on her account, she found out it had been shut. And she was like, well, what the hell's going on here? It's really, really freaky, some of the stuff they do to, innocent people. Hi, Julie. Good to see you. Thank you for being in the chat. EJ as well. I saw you said you just subscribed, so thank you very much for that. Tony Whitworth, the English royal family hold $323 billion worth of gold. It's unimaginable. Will all of these ever return to humanity? I saw an interesting thing. Richard Vobes did an interview with somebody. Richard Vobes did a interview with somebody, and it was to do with, the currency cycle. There was like 3 parts to the currency cycle, where you've got promissory notes, and gold and silver is linked to the paper money, and it's interesting stuff, and it's worth going and having a look at. But I think we're in one of them cycles again. Lord Jim Dandy, Andy, have you watched Baby Reindeer? No, I haven't. It's on Netflix, and I keep meaning to watch it. I know the subject matter. Very well, actually. Stranger Than Fiction. I've also seen Fatal Attraction. Matty, you're not going to change anything unless you have strength in numbers. Totally agree with that. We have. I get in the background of my YouTube channel roughly where all of the traffic comes from with the different countries, and when I look at it, it appears to me that there's little pockets of us here, there, and everywhere, all saying the same thing, but we've got to say it louder. We've got to say it together, and we've got to mean it, and we've got to do it. Otherwise, what is the point? And a lot of people have got to that where they go, what is the point? Well, there has to be a point. if we're going to get anywhere. Pete, energy sector needs to be stripped of all income for a few years. Then let's see her pay. Yeah, exactly. I think the worst thing that happened was the privatization of all of the energy, and then you get competition and directors and boards and all this sort of thing, and it just pushes everything way up. Just pushes everything way up. And who suffers at the end of the day? Those at the end of the chain. Us. It ain't good. Dan, try having a business premises with free-phase supply. Standing charges are a joke. I can imagine. I have no idea how much they are, but I can imagine. You put the word business on anything, they charge the arse out of you, don't they? I mean, I run my businesses from my registered office, and I just need a computer really, and that's it. And I can imagine when you've got staff and overheads like that, plus the utility bills, it can get quite bad. I keep trying to think of how to say your screen name. Negu Mums Against the Child Snatchers. Have I got that right? Tell me. I have Key Meter, and it's getting harder when I have to get codes from shops. Had to go to 5 shops the other week and had to get a guy on Octopus on the phone to tell the woman in the shop how to do it. And I only had £1 odd left. I've heard this before many a time. And it does get harder, particularly if you've got problems getting to the shops. Bridget, every time I think I'm ahead of my electric bill, it goes up. I'll tell you what I did. I keep getting ridiculously high demands for my gas and electricity, the bills. And I think to myself, no, you're not doing this. So I started paying them an amount every month. And then they wrote to me. And I said, I'll be quite happy to set up a standing order for this amount. And it won't change. I said, if you try and change it, I'll cancel the direct debit and I'll just pay it anyway. It's almost like a promissory note. I promise to pay you every month, and I do. And that's the way I ended up getting it worked out. Soundwave, my bill for a 3-bedroom house with 3 people and a server running 24/7, 57 quid. Wow, that is pretty damn good. I mean, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Because some of the standing charges and everything else, crazy what they add onto them. And then people struggle. Matty, they want your money, they want your children, like they didn't do enough when they took away your families. Yeah, it's a cycle, isn't it? And we're always going through that cycle, being manipulated, being chased about. Something's happening, and we're going to find out, I think. I mean, you look at all these MPs doing a runner as well. 118, I think it was. We're going to stand down. One of them I can understand because of the health difficulties he's enduring, but the rest, wow, what an exodus. Clive, so they want to charge for green energy. That will only drive everyone back to fossil fuel. Yeah, absolutely. And they're trying to make you pay for this via that route. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense, does it? Any of it. And it will only serve to make us poorer, and it will only serve to make things more difficult. Factual breakdown. Andy, if you'd like to loop me in on the potential impact on our friend, please do. Yes, I will drop you an email, factual breakdown, let you know what's going on. It's not anything urgent. It's been dealt with, but I think the energy company were a bit sly, as some people can be from time to time. But I'll get in touch with you. I'll let you know. Tony, Justin Trudeau's brother claims that Trudeau is not actually running the country. Justin is like the captain of the hockey team. He's not the owner. So what team is Rishi? Yeah, I've heard that said about him as well. You know, not really in charge. Is it somebody up there somewhere calling the shots? Really, at the end of the day, I think we know the answer, don't we? Bob had a gas boiler service recently. An engineer tried to push me into a smart meter. I said, no, thank you. They keep trying it, don't they? They keep trying it all of the time. Russ, you're in the house. Good evening. Hope you are well, sir. And I hope your mum's all right. Lord Jim Dandy, my local bank is closing in September. That is another subject. You know, banks. How many of you have got a bank in an easy reach? They're closing all over the place, and we've only got post offices. Soundwave, the council have replaced 4 inverters, including mine. 2 have gone bang and blown up the mains meter. 20 was installed in 2015, so 16 bombs left ready to rip. My God, that's bad. Bridget, what are your thoughts on the blood inquiry, Andy? I don't know enough about it, to be honest, Bridget, but I get the impression that, you know, it'll be drawn out, trying to push the blame in a direction, try and cover others' arses in another direction. It's the same with any inquiry, but I really don't know enough about it. I know you were affected by it, Bridget, weren't you? Very much. But these inquiries cost hundreds of thousands of pounds. And what do they achieve? What do they really achieve? But I'll try and, you know, educate myself a little bit more on it and see what's going on. Kaz, my screen went blank. 2 sent 3 men out and accused me of messing with it. And I ended up with over £1,000 because it took them 3 months to come out. My God, unbelievable. I mean, my mate, he's got various physical ailments. So there's no way really he could get down the stairs to look at it and see what's going on. It ain't going to happen. So I'd love to see them accuse him of no good. We need a people's party. We need something, Lord Jim Dandy. We need something. It needs to change. If it goes on the way it is, this country is in more trouble than it already is. It can't be allowed to continue the way it is. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Paul, 1960, last time we had national service. Yeah, absolutely. I read out that little history article off the Parliament website on that, and I think they said the last national serviceman was discharged in 63, something like that. So a long time ago. And as I said, it's not going to work for this current generation. And the amount of time that they say, you know, they'll have them in for, it's pointless. Absolutely pointless. So are they just trying to move something in via the back door? You know, it's I don't know who comes up with this stuff. I really don't. Tony, China warns United States to end all visits to Taiwan and adhere to the one China policy. Will be ready to face the consequences. America weak under Biden. Trump will put China back in their place. Well, you know, that's going to be interesting times coming up, isn't it, over there as well? I think a lot of stuff has happened, or a lot of stuff has been allowed to happen, should I say, because of weak leadership from our politicians. And, you know, look at the situation we're in. Sway Dogs, are you surprised Rishi has changed from November to July? Now, I received a message from Noel Wilcox yesterday or the day before. I can't remember which. It all blends into one. But he said that it's wrong-footed, everybody, you know, bringing it forward by that amount of time. They're trying to ensure that the uni party continues, that, you know, the status quo continues, because everybody has to register their intention to stand in an election by, I think it's June the 8th or something like that. It's rush, a lot of logistics and very, very quickly. and it's all designed. But you know, there's the other theory that shortly thereafter we're all going to be in the shit anyway. So we'll have to see how it pans out. But yeah, it's a bit of a jump. Matty, funny how we have a new monarch and things are going like this as well. Yeah, it seems to be when the Queen passed away, everything's just gone to shit. Stargazer, Rishi is off to America. Yep, and that's the theory. He wants out, doesn't he? John Major started all this crap by dragging us into the common market. He certainly did. You know, people have short memories in politics, or they try to make sure we have short memories, and people look further back in time than they give us credit for. And you know, that's one of the key points there. I just want to find something. It was a screen dump that I was sent by somebody, which had something very relevant in it to do with this political situation. I'm not sure if I've still got it. Yeah, I found it. I found it. So I'm just going to save this picture and hopefully get it in for you. And get this uploaded into StreamYard as quickly as I can. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I don't think. No. It appears that where I downloaded the thing to. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Say all files. Let's see if we can find it this way. Gotcha. I found it. Yeah. When Rishi did his speech outside number 10, it's a bit of a small picture, but you can see that there's 5 prime ministers in this picture. You know, from Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and Rishi Sunak. Have a look at the podium on each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's missing off of Rishi's? The government seal on the front. Yeah, there you go, Erica. Did anyone notice that the crest was missing off the podium when Rishi made the speech? Odd. Yeah, that's what was sent to me. Yeah, you know, you watch that, but it's a little detail like that you know sticks out like a sore thumb. And you know, Erica did see it herself. And why is that? Why isn't that there anymore? It's a little detail I always get. Hello, Cosmic War Toad. Good to see you. Hope you're okay. Tony, Mark Zuckerberg, a vocal critic of human-induced climate change, shows off his new £300 million, 287-foot mega yacht powered by 4 massive diesel engines while we're forced into net zero. You can't make it up, can you? Can't make it up. They preach to everybody else, but when it comes to, you know, their own things, they do what they like. Money talks, bullshit walks, as they say. Porgy and the We Are. Wow, things are crazy. I'm glad to get some real news from the UK. East coast of the US here. Oh, okay, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. See, we're getting everywhere. We are getting everywhere. Lord Jim Dandy, no umbrella. Definitely. Bob, who wants to fight for a flag? We're not allowed to wave. It's a different world now, isn't it? We look at our country, we look at what it's become, we look at how it is, and the reasons aren't the same anymore. They haven't been for a long time, and I think a lot of people feel like that. Red Sky Black, Hey, teachers and politicians, leave our kids alone. Yeah, I really keep a very close eye on what my boy is being taught, and I listen to what he says when he comes home because that really gives me a clue what they're trying to put into their heads. It's it's a generational thing. I think it'll be fixed eventually. It's got to be the young ones that do it. Lord Jim Dandy, they got bouncy castles in mosques. All them shoes outside. Oh God, you and your jokes. Evsy, any call up should be to protect Brits. We have no fighters loyal to British people. We don't have any politicians loyal to them either. It really is a shower. Really is a shower. Bill, gold used to back money, but no more. Gold is sold by some governments to prop up the value of the dollar. This financial historian that was on Richard Vobes' channel, he said in 1972 or 1973, one of the two, that the president at the time turned around and said that he was going to suspend gold backing up the dollar, and from that point in time, the cycle moved on another stage, and it's going to reset itself again at some point soon. Andy, Reform UK. Hi, Andy. Andy, hi. Good to see you. Tony Tasker, with all these energy price hikes, we'll all be sitting around candles. If it gets really cold, we'll need to light them. Absolutely. We've got some good weather at the moment, though. I mean, where I am in the garage, where during the summer months, we put our pool up outside, and the power that runs the pump and the filter and everything comes in the garage. So I can't shut the door, but it's warm enough. So it's not too bad. Team Mistress 197, don't trust either the Tories or Labour. We're looking after the welfare and best interests of ordinary British people. Agreed. Totally agreed. And we need change massively. Stargazer, I did read about that before I come on live. I don't know the full extent, how severe, but that's another one that's gonna carry on. I mean, that has so divided everybody on both sides. You look at October the 7th, what happened, and the reaction to that, and then you look what people say on either side about the other. It's awful, and yet you've still got all these innocents that are still being held captive as well. Rick, Biden, Sullivan, and Blinken have screwed the world. Yeah, I do believe you're right. I do believe you're right. Tony, slaves, 40,000 in Congo are forced to work in cobalt mines so we can drive electric cars. Net zero is now the world's #1. So, yeah, I mean, they don't tell you, do they? The actual impact of having these things. How they get the stuff out the ground, how they make it, how they dispose of it when it's done with, all of these things. And I thought, no, they try and sell a bad idea badly. Tony, Fair Fuel UK's Howard Cox says electric vehicles produce 70% more emissions than petrol and diesel vehicles from cradle to grave. Yeah, I mean, straight away, you think of the increased weight of them. And, that's more strain on the tyres, more strain on the brakes. You get a lot of crap blown out from there, and, the overall emissions as well. He's absolutely right. We just had that one. Rosemary, we live in poverty. I couldn't get my PIP tribunal sorted due to lockdowns. Now, own electric key, nearly $2,000. Got holes in roof, rain running in. I feel broke. Oh my God, Rosemary. Have you got anyone around you that can help? Any friends or anybody? Have you reached out to any organisation? I mean, with PIP, there are people out there that will come to the house and help you. fill in the paperwork, get everything organised. I mean, if there's anything anything that I can possibly do to point you in the right direction, drop me an email, and if I can help you, I will. Or somebody somewhere. That's the beauty with this channel. You know, we can't leave that if we can do something about it. Julie, what do you think about what Libra are doing with the end-of-life pensioners in the home in Nottingham? Andy, the Gabby K. Julie, I was disgusted, absolutely disgusted. That was a thing you sent me earlier on. I will find that just in a second. Yeah, Labour-controlled Wakefield Council to evict end-of-life residents from Nottingham care home. There it is there. Absolute disgrace. You want to vote for them? That's what's going to happen. That kind of thing. Tony couldn't make it up. Cryptosporidium in Tapwater, but Southwest Water think it's a good time to raise its dividends to shareholders. Total dividend payout up from 111 million last year to 126 million. There you go. Privatization. That's what gets you. That's what gets you. Team Mistress, what's the most sensible thing we can all to try and look after ourselves and our families if war is coming? Then we're all sitting ducks. Prepare. Know where you are. Know what you need. Know what to do. Prepare. I can't say any more than that. If it happens, we need to be prepared. It's a very scary thing to think about, but it's. I suppose after the election, things will become clearer. I think at the moment it's a comment that a politician has said, and we need to prepare in case. Tony, the reason the experts are always baffled is because the narrative they are paid to push, from David to safe and effective to yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. Not only wrong, but lies. What they are paid to push. Tony Whitworth, Czech billionaire Daniel is taking over Royal Mail for $3.5 billion. His first step is to halve mail deliveries, which will save $300 million by getting rid of staff. Prices will go up, employees down. Again, privatization ruined one of the key services of this country. It's mad. More slaves in Africa than ever existed in the West, thanks to the West pushing net zero. Totally. Cosmic Audio, is Charles III really a king? Globalists have sworn to abolish all monarchies, nationalism and patriotism. Was he really anointed behind the screen at the full coronation? What I heard, and you'd have to watch the coronation yourself, but what him and Camilla sat on were never referred to as thrones. I think they were referred to as chairs of state. Now, a king or a queen sits on a throne, don't they? What's a chair of state? So there is something in that, I think, if you look at what's said. A lot of the time, when you look at things, it's not particularly what's said, it's what's missed out or what's reworded. Tony, US and UK armed forces now demanding catwalks to be used on the battlefields. That's so ludicrous. I could believe it, really. I could really believe it. Right, everybody, we're coming up to the hour. And as you know, I usually don't like it going longer than an hour. So there we go. Thank you very much for all your comments. And it's always nice to have a chat with you, see what you've got to say, and acknowledge some of your things. Gone through a little bit of news as well. As always, hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Make sure we get those likes up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And if you have been for a while, please check you still are, because I know the algorithm screws around with it sometimes. And if you're on social media, I wouldn't mind a share. And until next time, I look forward to talking to you again soon. Toodaloo.